G'day and welcome to this week's video. My name's Robert Gowdy and this week we're going to have a look at the top 10 tips to prepare you for retirement. Now it should be said from the outset that the earlier that you start planning for retirement and thinking about what your lifestyle might be, then you're going to be in a far better position to prepare and get ready for your eventual retirement. Tip one is obviously review your retirement needs. What does your income look like in retirement? So in those things, there's base living on what we all need just to get by, to pay our rates, our utilities, and to live and to eat well. But there's also, what does your holidays look like? Is it overseas? Clearly that will cost substantially more than caravanning or spending time going from motel to motel in a local sense. So you need to work out what your income needs are based on your preferences. Then you need to consider how much obviously that'll cost, how much you've currently got, and are you saving enough? So there's plenty of calculators on the internet that can help give some guidance in that, and you can obviously alter your savings, your salary sacrifice, or whatever it is, to help boost your capital needs ready for retirement. Tip two, that is, start to plan for the rest of your life. Now, one comment here is, and it does relate back to the first tip in terms of making sure that you've got enough. The one thing you need to think about is that a lot of the calculations that we do in terms of life expectancy push right through to age 95. So this money's got to last a long time, and it is true probably the first half of retirement is where you need to spend the majority of a lot of your income, because your income needs could drop by at least a third in that 85 to 95 time frame. But there's every chance for the couples that are watching that someone will make it through to 90 and above. So we also need to think about any extra care that you might need, such as aged care, which can be extremely costly. Definitely in line with this, review your current investments. Is your portfolio too conservative at the moment? Is it mostly made up of cash and term deposits, which, as we know, are providing a pretty low rate of return? So what you need to consider that is people will invest through to their retirement. I encourage my clients to think about their investment time frame is more so their life expectancy. So if you've got 10 years to retirement at age 55, you're going to retire at 65. I would argue that you're essentially a very good chance at being a 40-year investor from that stage, assuming you might get to 90 and above. So if you're too conservative, still with a long-term time frame, that money's not going to provide the growth that you're going to need, and you're going to have some growth investments such as shares or property, businesses, when I talk about shares, that can grow at a substantial rate of knots. Number 4, stick to your plan. There's lots of ebbs and flows in the market that we all know about. There will be share market crashes and corrections ahead of us. The only thing I know they will happen, I just don't know when or what will cause them. There'll be some sort of event that no one sees coming, but what you need to do is stick to your guns, stick to your contributions to super, your salary sacrifice, stick to that savings plan, stick to the asset allocation, and making sure you don't sell at the worst possible times. And these things do happen for a lot of people. When they get nervous, they'll sell down, fearing that there's more downside ahead of them. As a general rule, that is probably the worst thing you can do, and it's probably some of the biggest mistakes that I've seen. Tip 5 is get the structure right. So here we're talking about making sure you're invested in a way that tax is not a problem, or you get Centrelink benefits. And for the most part, superannuation forms a big part about getting the tax component right. That as individuals, we can have up to $1.6 million in a superannuation pension, completely tax-free within the fund, and tax-free as the pension comes out to us. So getting the tax structure right, and I would also argue that then you think about where you invest to get the best growth over the rest of your life are two very important issues. But yeah, from a Centrelink point of view, there's not quite the benefits in structures there, but there could well be some changes that the government alluded to in the last budget of in 2018 that may be some strategies with annuities that may help us with Centrelink planning. On to the next page. Tip number 6 is, get your affairs in order. So here we're talking about making sure that you've got an up-to-date will, and the will is really giving the instructions to your executors, which will generally be your beneficiaries, on which way your assets want to go after you pass away. So well worthwhile speaking to your solicitor to make sure you have obviously an up-to-date will and enduring power of attorney. Consider the other enduring powers of attorney that can look at financial and or medical, but definitely speak to a solicitor about that, and and review this every now and then. At least probably once every 3 to 5 years. That also includes your superannuation assets. Remember that superannuation assets are not covered under the will. The document that covers that off is a binding death nomination. So that gives direction for the superannuation trustee, whether it's a self-managed super fund, retail or industry fund. They all have these options available for you. Tip 7, and that's stay fit and healthy. Now that might seem a simple thing to do, but I do see it in some of my retirees and have done in the past where they retire from a job they've done for many decades, and then they retire, and obviously retiring to the armchair is not a long-term long-term strategy. But in the initial parts of their retirement, they weren't busy enough and they got bored, and obviously that leads on to doing things that they wouldn't normally do. It can lead to depression. So even when we retire, you've got to stay very active, take up hobbies, volunteer, keep yourself busy, take up part-time work. And that's probably the transition that I see, that people are not just going from full-time work to retirement, they're transitioning to part-time and doing it progressively. And I think that's really important. As human beings, we need purpose. We've got to keep active physically and mentally, and I think we function better if that's the case. Tip 8, rethink the move. Now this is something, obviously discussions we have quite a lot with our retiring clients, that they're obviously looking to have a move to get closer to family. So it happens a lot where they will potentially sell up, make the move, work out they actually didn't like it because they've actually just moved away from a friend base of many decades and end up coming back. So my advice there is probably try before you buy. Don't sell your house in the hometown, but move away and lease a property for 1-2 years, see if you like it. Obviously the implications of paying stamp duties where you move to, and then you decide you don't like it, you've got to come back and pay stamp duties again, all the legal costs, all the heartache in between, all the moving. So there's other ways to skin the cat, but try before you buy, because it doesn't always work out exactly what you think. Think about the what ifs, and look, that's thinking about probably more on the short term. There's unexpected things that can happen along the way that can stop you from meeting your retirement goals, and some of that can be covered by insurances. Not a very positive or fun topic, but if you can't work for the last X amount of years of your working life to help accumulate that money, then is insurance going to fill the gap for your partner for death and disability? There's income protection and also trauma cover. So as you get older, these insurances get much more expensive, but if something happens that means you can't build up the money, you need something that's going to fill the gap, and insurances can play a part in that. And last tip of all, get help. seeking financial advice, from someone that's qualified to do so, finding someone that's got no conflicts of interest, I think is really important. Someone that's going to look after yourself and your needs first. So seek financial advice. Be fussy on who you deal with. Find someone you can trust and they've got your needs being put first before their own. So that's about it. Now, before I go, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. That'd be awesome, and give us a thumbs up if you're already subscribed and you like the video. And secondly, let's have a look at some resources we've got on our website. We've got so far 4 free online courses that we encourage you to subscribe to and go through the modules. We've been working on this for quite some time, so we've just released them, got them up and running, so here they are for you. There's a beginner's guide to superannuation. There's our free money course, which is essentially the government's co-contributions. So to understand that will mean you can make free money. Details on how superannuation works, and also one on credit cards. So for the people, which will be most of you listening, don't have problems with credit cards, if you've got children or grandchildren that might benefit from any of these, please forward on the video or the links, which will be down below. You can shoot that to your family for their benefits. So they're free courses. Jump on, have a look. We've put a fair bit of time into them, so feel free to go and have a look and check them out. Thanks for listening, and we'll speak to you soon. Cheers.